up our first presenter today, and that's going to be Joel Braswell. Come on up, Joel. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roth, for the introduction, and Travis for setting all this up, and for all the sponsors who made this happen. Think about a time in your life when you had to deliver bad news, something that was heavy and difficult. You probably don't remember that very fondly. We each have this innate desire to avoid being the bearer of bad news. We know the phrase, "Don't shoot the messenger," and we'll try very hard to not be the messenger because we feel like people will hate us or blame us for what we have to say. But that does not have to be the case. There are ways to effectively communicate negative information that will allow you to further your relationship with the other person and to move towards positive solutions. To demonstrate this, I'm going to talk about some financial planning clients that I worked with. Their names were Alvin and Fran Jackson. When they came to me, they were in their mid-40s and they had several goals. Their goals were to retire early at the age of 62, to pay completely for the education of their 3 young sons, to spend $10,000 each year in retirement traveling, and they wanted to purchase a $350,000 home. When they came to me, they were at age 42, and they had very little in their investment accounts and almost nothing saved for retirement. And I knew quickly, after some preliminary analysis, that they were not going to be able to achieve all of their goals in their entirety. And thus, I had to break the bad news. But there's a method and a process that allowed me to do this effectively. And the first step in this process starts before you ever have the conversation with them. And it's to build a trusting relationship. Relationship determines response. We take criticism from a friend far more significantly than we do that of a stranger. To do this with my clients, I met with them several times beforehand where I got to know them. I learned about their family and their background and their history. I learned what their goals and their hopes and their dreams were. They began to trust me, and as I invested in them. That's why the first step is to build a trusting relationship. The second step in this process of breaking the bad news is to reinforce compassion. I think we can all relate to this, and it's an innate human response. When we hear negative information, we associate the person talking to us with the information. If I have to share with someone, you're not going to be able to achieve all of your goals right now. What we want to hear is that you don't want me to achieve my goals, when nothing could be further from the truth. So, as their planner, I reminded them that my goal is to see them succeed. I do well when they do well. It's important to remind people of that. The third step in this process is to be honest and clear. Don't sugarcoat it or make it sound better than it is. The first 2 steps will allow you to be transparent. The final step in this process is to move forward. One door closing means that another can open. It's important that we present people with new opportunities. In this case, my clients were not able to fully fund each of their goals, but as their planner, I created separate scenarios in which they prioritized each of their different goals. In one scenario I created, they prioritized fully funding the education of their children and partially funding their other goals. In another scenario, they fully funded retiring early and partially funded their other goals. When I presented this to them, they chose to fully fund the education for their children. And they were excited and happy that I presented these opportunities because I broke the bad news well. And I want you to each think about a time in your life where you've had to deliver something negative and you could have benefited from breaking the bad news well. Alvin and Fran Jackson are still my clients today because they trusted me. I showed them that I cared about them. I was clear and honest with them, and I helped them to take bad news and give them good options. Thank you. All right. Any questions from any of the judges? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Joel. That's a wonderful job. And again, there's the rubric, just in case you clicked off of it or anything. There's the QR code again. I will say, as I sat down, I realized I didn't mention I don't think I mentioned Pianfetti Foundation, so my apologies. But again, thank you very, very much to them and all the rest of our sponsors as well. All right, so that's our first presentation. So our second presentation is going to be from Emelina Alvarez, and it's called Cold and Warm Colors Effect on Memory. Oh. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. My name is Emelina Alvarez, and I conducted a study on cold and warm colors and their effect on memory. I conducted this as my senior thesis. The reason I came up with this study, it was because when I was younger in elementary school, a teacher there, she told me never to write in red ink because I would forget the words. So years passed, and now I had the opportunity to see if that's true or not. A little background information about it. Memory, it's considered one of the most important cognitive processes. It takes care of the storing, encoding, and retrieving information. And then color is a strong information channel, and it plays an important role in memory performance. In this study, I used Ebbinghaus nonsense syllables, which are words that don't have a meaning. And I use that to control for my third variables. So like the participants, so the participants in this study couldn't relate the words that I was giving them to words that they already know. My hypothesis is that warm color words in cold color background will improve memory. At the same time, cold color words in warm color background will decrease memory. I came up with this hypothesis because, according to research, if you have a warm, I don't know why I keep changing. If you have a cold background, it increases arousal, and when you have cold color words, increase arousal as well, and the more arousal you have, the better you remember. So that's why the hypothesis. For this study, I used the University of Charleston students, ages from 18 to 22, from psychology classes mostly, because the professors were kind enough to offer extra credit for the ones that participated, which helped me a lot, and some non-psychology classes. I did a 3x3 independent group factorial design. With the words and according to the condition they were assigned to. This is the example of the presentation. This is the neutral background. This is the cold background, and this is the warm background. These are the 20 words that I came up with, nonsense syllables. They don't have any meaning. They don't relate to any other word at all. After watching the presentation, they had to complete a distraction task where they had 2 minutes to do so. And after that, I asked them to write all the words they remember from the presentation. And once they were done, they were debriefed and thanked for their participation. This is the distraction task they completed. It was kind of difficult. Oh, okay. So for my results, I conducted a two-way ANOVA. and unfortunately, I didn't have any significant difference. However, if you see the graph over there, now you can see it. The orange and black had an average of 4.8, and the green and red had an average of 2.6. And then because of that, I conducted a t-test to see if maybe my population wasn't, like my sample wasn't big enough for my results to be not significant. And I didn't have any significance either in the t-test, which, okay, you changed details. It led me to think that normally I would need 90 participants for this study. I had 9 conditions, 10 participants in each condition, but I only could have 49 because people were not participating or were not showing up, which it didn't help me that much. But a replication should be done to determine if there is an actual effect on memory and color. And also it could be done to younger children to see if maybe age has a factor in that too. I think this study would help like the way students are being taught, because maybe if color is a factor, then it would help the students remember better. And well, that's it. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
Was there anything else in your data that you found interesting, like a difference between the genders or age groups?
I didn't find any difference in anything. I don't know, maybe I feel like if I had more participants, I would have a better sample. And yes.
Do you recall what were the most number of words that someone remembered?
I think it was like 8 or 6 out of 20. Yeah. Yes.
Did you consider asking them just in time to get a favorite color?
No, but it would be a great, yeah, it would be a great idea to do after. Someone else? Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emily. That was very interesting, and it looks like there's some artificial intelligence built into yours because it just kept moving anyway, didn't it? So, not sure what's going on there, but all right. And again, if you need the rubric QR code. So our first 2 are down. Now we're going to move on to our last 2 presentations. So this one is Miss Kaylee Knott. So, you might want to keep the keyboard close by in case it starts running on you.
That's okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Kaylee Knott, and my project is called Take Notes. It's all in the composition. The inspiration behind my product was whenever I came across this fabric and it looked a lot like notebook paper that had been scribbled on. I actually came across it this summer whenever I was sewing up some clothes for the back to school season, and I knew immediately I wanted to make a composition notebook themed dress, but how was I going to pull this off? So I actually love to do embroidery, so I knew that I wanted to take the iconic symbol of a composition notebook, and I took a PNG, which is a really high resolution image, and then I essentially digitally drew this out in stitches so that I would be able to put this onto my fabric. And here's a little bit of behind the scenes construction on the dress. So I actually opted to do a circle skirt on this dress. This is actually only half of the fabric because I couldn't, even standing on a chair, get a picture of all of the fabric that is required for the skirt of this dress because it is a double circle skirt. And then you can see that I also, for the bodice, got the composition book embroidered on there with thread. And I did a flutter sleeve to emulate paper fluttering. And this is the final result, and I can hold it up here for you guys to see. So the idea behind my dress was that whenever, this is actually for my little cousin Brindley, whenever she's standing perfectly still, it should look like a composition notebook that's closed. And then when she would run or play, then you can see the complications. Number one, I had certainly never done something this difficult. I'd never worked with pleats like this, because if it's done incorrectly, then you would be able to see, the white and the notebook paper in all the different places. This is also the first time I've ever put a zipper on a dress, which was its own complication. But I really like how it turned out, especially the composition notebook part of the dress. So that is the dress. And you may be wondering, yes, it's a really cool dress, Kaylee, but why is this important? Why is it important for our community that we have seamstresses? Why is it important that we put innovation behind our clothes? So this is Isabella. Isabella is someone that I met this summer. She has Down syndrome, and because of that, she has some muscular fatigue issues and some issues just with her general proportions. So all of the clothing that you find in stores is going to be made off of a base model, which is why you might put pants on and you're like, well, it kind of fits, but it's a little too long. Or, oh, it fits in the legs, but it doesn't fit in the waist. And what her mother had found was there was no clothes that would fit her, and specifically age-appropriate clothes. And she had siblings, so whenever it was Christmas time and she would have her sister would have a really pretty dress, she was having to wear adult clothing that didn't fit. Isabella has also been one of my favorite clients because of her honesty. She will put something on and tell you she doesn't like it. So that was its own set of challenges that I didn't take into account. She has special needs, some sensory issues, so there were certain fabrics that I had to accommodate for. Of course, the style, the impeccable style of a 6-year-old is something you always have to account for. And then the usability behind her dresses, just to make sure that they suit her. These are just a couple other things that I've made for some different people. I love to sew, so I've made countless things. But it's really important that we think about the sustainability behind our clothing, which is something we've lost with our local seamstress. We buy all of our clothes from manufacturers who use cheap materials and low-cost labor to generate a perpetuated system of throwing things away into our landfills and then having to buy more. In fact, we buy 60% more things than we did even just 15 years ago. And this is not only because our clothing is made cheaper, but also because we don't have people to fix them. If you had a button fall off of a shirt 20 years ago, you would certainly have someone to put one back on. And now they end up in our landfills. In fact, 500,000 tons of plastic microfibers are being dumped into our oceans every single year, which is the equivalent of 5 billion plastic bottles. Some of the ways that I'm working against this with the clothes that I like to make is, number one, I like to source my fabric from thrift stores, old clothing, tablecloths. You'll never guess. I'll pull a curtain off the wall and I'm like, it's a dress now. Don't worry about it. And then there's also different ways that I can make these things last for longer. I prefer to use elastic backs in children's clothing just because they're continuing to grow. This is an example of an adjustable back on a dress. So essentially the bow and the elastic casing allows for horizontal growth. And then normally when I would gift a dress to someone, I would originally gift it without a ruffled hem on the bottom of it, and then that added ruffle would help to add length, which is really, really important. Also, with all the alterations to the clothing, that's another way that I'm accommodating each and every child, because I'm sure a lot of you have seen they're in all different shapes and sizes, and it's much, much easier to accommodate and much more sustainable whenever you have a home seamstress. And if you would ever like to see the other things I am up to, feel free to take a look at my Etsy shop. It's not just sewing, and it's just a way that I like to express myself and contribute to our community. Thank you.
All right. Wonderful. We've already zoomed through 3 of our great presentations. We have one more left, and so we'll go ahead and move on to that. I see a lot of you typing away in between as we're judging, so I'm trying to slow down here just as much as I can. Okay. So for our other group, we have 4 members in our last group, so if they want to go ahead and make their way up this way, I'll go ahead and introduce you as you're coming up. So we have 4 of our pharmacy students. We have Cindy Canales, Matthew Ballard, Bryn Calhoun and Megan Smith. So come on up. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Cindy Canales and our project is focused on increasing awareness among student pharmacists on the impact of inhalers and advocating for drug repository programs in West Virginia. First of all, I would like to start talking about some statistics and explaining why this is so important for all of us. So approximately we have 20 million people that have asthma in the United States, and more than 12.5 million of people suffer from COPD. West Virginia is the state with the highest prevalence for these two conditions. Nearly more than 80% of people misuse their inhalers, and the two main formulations to treat this health condition are metered dose inhalers, or MDIs, and dry powder inhalers, or DPIs. The MDIs use propellants to deliver the medication into the lungs, and these propellants are potent greenhouse gases contributing to the global warming. The inappropriate disposal of this medication can lead to gas leakage and escape to the environment. I'm sorry. Pharmacists and student pharmacists can help to decrease the environmental impact of inhalers. And Breen is going to talk about more about what we have been doing outside the classroom. Thank you.
So I'm Bryn, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what drug repository programs actually are. And this has been the main center of our work doing our innovation program thus far, and I'll go more into that later, but I'm sure you're wondering what this actually is. So a drug repository program is a twofold program. First, the unused medications from patients can be offered back to a drug repository program and be reinstituted back into their pharmacy system. But first, this medication has to go through a process, a vetting process, that includes making sure the medications are unused, that they were prescribed for the correct indication, initiatives that are like nationally programs truly helps the patient populations and could have a big impact in our state by getting this program going.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt, and now that we've learned a little bit about inhalers and also about what a drug repository program is, I want to talk to you a little bit about what this will look like in West Virginia if we're able to achieve this. So, as with all the other states who have passed this legislation, which you can see in the map on the poster, there does have to be legislation attached to any program like this. Luckily for us, the hardest part of this is already complete. So House Bill 2817 was actually passed in the 2022 legislative session with little to no pushback from lawmakers. It's already in the front of their minds. They're already excited about it. They think it's a good idea. Currently, it's sitting with the Board of Pharmacy, who's writing the laws for the program. These are expected to be complete this year, so it is a work in progress and should be active soon. However, that does leave, how is this going to happen? Who's going to form the drug repository program, and who's going to fund the drug repository program? Regarding forming it, feasibility, how's it going to happen? How can we make it work? We're looking at other states. As you can see again on the map, there's lots of other states who are successful in this. There's national programs that we've mentioned like Serum and Good Pill, all of which are successful. They're providing these benefits to the patients. They're receiving positive feedback, and they're also helping people in need. The next question is funding. Who's going to pay for it? That's a big one, always. We see lots of options with this. Our goal would be to receive some type of government funding for this. The government, especially here in West Virginia, takes initiative in paying a lot of forward for health care. They pay for medications. They pay for Medicaid. Medicaid is paying for medications that could be disposed of, that are unused. If we can show that by reintroducing these medications to the population, we're offsetting some of these costs. We may be asking for money to form the program, but we're offsetting some of the costs that they would already be incurring with the medications. Other options that we see as feasible are partnering with pharmacies. Corporations like CVS and Walgreens are often involved in environmental projects such as this. We also could partner with insurance companies, making them aware of the benefits that a program like this would have. With all of this, we do feel that this is a very feasible program, and we look forward to working forward with all of this information.
So we have done a lot within the community this past year with regards to educating and advocating the public on the importance of implementing a drug repository program in the state of West Virginia, but also educating patients on the importance of proper disposal of inhalers. So if you look at the center of the screen here, there are two images. The top one was taken at Pharmacist Day at the Capitol, which was in March, and the bottom one was taken at West Virginia Rural Health Day, which was in January. And at both of those events, we were able to discuss with legislators, the public, and other healthcare professionals of the importance of proper disposal of inhalers and other medications, along with the importance of implementing this drug repository program. So while we have done a lot, we still have a lot of plans for the future. So we have two main focuses for the future. Our first focus is to work closely with the West Virginia Board of Pharmacy and help expedite the process of forming an active drug repository program. Now you may be asking, well, how can you do that? There's two ways that we can do that. First, we can offer assistance from a student perspective and from a healthcare student perspective of how we can help. Second, we can provide information of what other states have done with their drug repository programs and give them ideas that are cost effective. Our second plan for the future is to continue the education to patients, healthcare professionals, and legislators on the importance, but our focus being healthcare professionals, and that includes doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, and pharmacists. Because when you think about it, the first line of communication with a prescription is the doctor. And from our experience, most patients will listen to the recommendations from their doctor. So if we can educate and inform the importance to doctors of how important it is to educate their patients on proper inhaler disposal, then they are more likely to dispose of their inhalers properly. Those are our two main focuses for the future. Thank you so much for your time. And we are open to any questions as well. Yes.
In the other states that you studied, where do they have the repositories to make it very easy for the possessors of inhalers to utilize?
You got it? Okay.
So in different states, Ohio being one particularly, they partnered with their local pharmacies who had an opt-in program, and so they could, and it's listed on their website, the pharmacies that are available that you can bring your medications to get it going into this system. And other states, they had other kinds of systems like a mail-in system, different things like that, but that was the best that we saw, in our opinion. Yes.
Consideration to incentivize people to return their unused drugs. I know it might be complicated, but I thought there might be one to, they got paid for it.
I'm sure, definitely. I did not see anything on that, but that is definitely something to consider and that we could bring up with our talks to the legislature and West Virginia Board of Pharmacy in the future. Yes. It's for any drugs. Anyone want to speak?
So it's for any medication, but our focus for this and our platform was inhalers, mainly because the incidence of asthma and COPD in the country, and specifically West Virginia, is extremely high. Yes. Thank you for your time.
All right, that's wonderful. Once again, there's our handy QR code. So if you haven't had a chance to complete those evaluations yet, please go ahead and do so, because we're going to move in now to our time where we recognize all of our other award winners in the I3 Day, and we tabulate these votes for the finalists. But I do just want to say one thing, and I hope you all enjoyed watching those presentations as much as I did. But the thing that stood out to me was that all of these presentations had a positive contribution to the community. And it's not just like some crazy idea that never has a chance of seeing the light of day. All of these presentations, either through a service or through a product or through research, has a positive contribution to our community. So that's what I love the most about I3 Day in general. So, okay. Well, better not reveal that. Hold on just a second. The winners know who they are. I've invited them to come today. But so what we want to do now, I see Alyssa back there, so you're probably ready to collect those paper forms. So if you have your paper form ready, those of you who did that, please give it to Alyssa. And she's going to be kind enough to go back and do a little number crunching for us. Any other forms out? Was that it? Okay, very good. All right, so what we're going to do now is recognize the winners, all of our other award winners. And so basically how this worked, there were staff and faculty categories as well as student categories. We gave awards out in the staff and faculty divisions to first and second place. There were two divisions in staff and faculty this year. In the four divisions that you just watched, you just saw the winners for the four student divisions. But we also gave awards out to third and second place as well. So we do want to go ahead and acknowledge all of them, and we have some certificates to give out. And also with that said too, I know that, again, I might have mentioned this already, but I know that there's a lot of other events and things going on today, so several of our award winners weren't able to make it today, but I do see some of them out there, so we'll go ahead and go through these. So first up is our faculty and staff work of art winners. And so you see our first and second place winners here. I think both of them are here. So first, let's get Terry Floyd. Come on up. Terry? So his project was called The Adventures of Gannon and Max. There you go. Thank you. You might have, I think, might have a picture coming up here. So we'll let Connor work his way up here. So. All right. Thank you, Terry. And you'll see Terry again in a minute because he was a poster winner as well, so you can go back there and see his poster. So, and for first place in the faculty and staff art category, we have Beth Wolf for the scientific poet. All right, very good. Now, I know some people in this next category, I believe, are out on the road today. So, faculty and staff research. Second place was Lisa McCool and Melissa Farish for SBL Exit School of Business and Leadership, Exit Assessments. Our students exceed expectations. How can this be? So I love the title for that. But I do believe they're not present. I think they said they were going to be out. So we'll save their certificates for when they come back. But in our, I don't know if Dr. Day, if I saw him, but our first place winner in this category was Dr. Savian Day. And his project was called Linguistic Diversity and Economic Happiness. So let's give both of them a round of applause. All right. So now we're going to move on to our student categories. And something I didn't mention, I don't think I've mentioned the actual prizes that they get. So this isn't just, free gift certificate to Wendy's or anything. Not that that would be a bad thing, but our third place winners get, see if I get $300. Our second place winners get $500, and first place in each category gets $1,000. So there's a lot of incentive here. And then our grand prizes are even bigger than that, which we'll talk about here in a minute. All right. So first we're going to recognize the award winners in our student case study division. And third place was Helen Wynn, Haley McCown, and Noah Rudd. Are they here today? Are they here? I thought they were. I don't see them. Okay. So we'll set their certificates aside. And our second place winner happened to be part of the third place. So he made a pretty good payday here. So Noah Rudd got second place as well for a project called How Much Would You Save Using an IRA? So, all right. I know our first place winner's here. So Joel Braswell, why don't you come on up? And hold on. We have something a little special for our student winners. So now we have to reuse this for other categories. So, but let's hold it up here for your picture. All right. Going on to the next category now. Our research division. So third place was Sarah Joyce, and her project was called Is There a Correlation Between College Major and Mental Health Issues? Very interesting. So is Sarah here today? No, I don't see Sarah. Okay. All right. Second place, Cheyenne, I don't know if I'm going to say this right. Is it Delauder? Delauder? Okay. Of using dating apps. That's great. Cheyenne's not here either. Okay. All right. Our first place winner, you all have already met her, Emelina Alvarez. Come on up. There you go. All right. Thank you. All right. Very good. Next, we're going to go on to work of art. And I should note as well, we didn't have enough room to bring all of our posters in here as well. We just have our poster winners. But all of these are still up in the UC Commons, which is just next building, or technically 2 buildings over, but just follow the hallway around. You can go see these. I really encourage you to. All of these projects are great, wonderful. All right, so first place in work of art was Kaylee Naughton. Okay. And our final category for students was innovative products and services. So for third place, or I'm sorry, this one we had a tie for second place. So two second place winners. So we'll start with Grace Underwood, and it's called Ethereal, Sustainable and Timeless Clothing. So I don't know if Grace is here today. I don't think so. All right. Our other second place winner in this category was Emily Thomas and Kelton Boblets. They have a project called Mush Bloom, Aqua Hydroponic Garden, and they're here today. So. All right, and you all have already met our first place winners in this category, and that's Cindy, Matthew, Bryn, and Megan, so come on back up. Let's see here. So. Yeah. Uh-huh. Sticking together. So I don't think y'all are going to need my help to hold this up, but I'll just stand beside you. How about that? There you go. Oh. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, we got one more round of things to recognize here. I'm leaving my phone out because Alyssa's going to alert me whenever the final tallies are ready. So we got to be ready here. Okay, so we're going to recognize our poster winners. And we're going to start again with staff and faculty. So you've already met Terry once, but Terry, come on up again. Terry, Beth got you on the presentation, but you got her on the poster, right? So. There we go, yeah. All right. And so our first place, exact same thing happened here, right? Our poster winners in the research flip-flopped on us. So Melissa and Lisa aren't with us today, but I'll set that aside. All right. So student posters. So we're gonna go in reverse order here, I think. So we're gonna go with innovative product, process, service, or project first. And Flora is here. Do you say your last name? Is it? Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Well, I'll make you another one of these. So let's go ahead and take a picture with it. You can go ahead and keep that one. I'll get you another one too. So. And Flora's is over there. It's a really interesting presentation. All right, and then work of art. Kaylee's going to have a sweep here, I think. So there you go. Yeah. All right, very good. So moving on, and we have another repeat winner here. So Emelina, come on up. There you go. Okay. And last but not least, Victor's not here today, but our poster winner in case study was Victor Del Pozo, so we'll give him a hand in his absence. I believe he was traveling for a sporting event today, so that tends to happen a lot. We have some excellent sports teams around here, so always on the go. All right, and I think we do have winners. I'm getting a text from Alyssa here. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go back and confirm here with Alyssa, and I think we all have more big checks here. I don't know if she has got those filled out, but I think we do know our winners. So if you want, we'll take just a really brief break if you want to go get you a drink or fill up your waters, and then we'll come back and announce the winners. So. right, everybody. So if you want to start moving back this way, and we'll announce our grand winners. We did have a request actually during that. I don't know if she would be willing to do it, but somebody requested they wanted to hear the poem, "The Scientific Poet." I mean, would that? Are we putting you on the spot? If oh, okay, okay, here we go.
Okay, so just for a little bit of context, this poem was actually a blackout poem. If you've ever seen blackout poetry, you take an existing text and you select certain words to highlight and you black out the rest of it. So I took an entry from a chemistry encyclopedia and the entry on half-life and turned it into this poem. The time interval of identical decay required for an infinite completion describing constant concentration, activity proportional to the decrease of any source exponentially reduced by the factor sometimes called life.
That's very good. So, all right. Thank you very much for that, Beth, for putting you on the spot, doing a little recitation there. So now's the big reveal, right? We're going to reveal our runners-up and then our grand prize winner. So I told you they get additional gets $2,000. So this, you know, it pays to enter I3. So you all go out and tell your classmates that next year. So, okay. The runner-up, this is our pharmacy student team. So come on up. Congratulations. You all can keep this one, okay? So that's that one came. Good job. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We appreciate every single one of you who came out from our community and from the school who decided to come out and support your classmates and colleagues. So this concludes our I3 finals, but I will say this also is the day of our Eagle Fest. So if you've never been to it and you have some extra time, go check it out on the back lawn. It's sort of like our spring celebration as we come down here to the end of our time. And all of you guys who won, all of you today, we're going to go back outside and announce to everybody out there. So hang with us for a little bit longer. So thank you all.